Hello students. In this video, I'm going to give you an extended explanation of our lab work for this class. I realize that the first lab is due today and this video should have come a few days earlier. My apologies. The first week is always very difficult and I've never taught this version of this course before. I used to teach this class all the time, so have no fear. This is my favorite class. I'm glad to have it back, but I am in a little bit of a learning curve right now. So here's my extended explanation about how to succeed in labs. So here I am in content looking at the syllabus. I am going to show you a bunch of pages, look, that are required for you to read to have success in the lab. Let's go through 2 syllabus pages. Now I've used Control Enter to open these in new tabs, or you could do a right click and open a link into a new tab. Okay, I already did that. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to look at grading and evaluation and the course rubrics. The labs and their summative assessments, the exams, take up almost 40% of your grade. Do not slack on the labs. They're fun, they take a lot of time, but you can be guaranteed to get 100% in 40% of the class. That takes a great deal of pressure off of your quizzes. And then if you look, another 30% is coming from discussions, which we'll talk about on another day. But participation, that's effort-based achievement, okay? And then finally you have 34% that are left to the summative assessment, the quizzes. What did you learn? Let's find out. So the majority of this class is based on your effort. Please carve away enough time to do this and make it fun. Do it with your roommates, do it with your children. There's nothing dangerous here. I really want you to engage and enjoy and succeed in this class. That is 100% possible. Also notice that it's pretty much point for point, right? There's almost 1,000 points in the class. And here's all the activities. So if you're ever wondering how you're doing in the class, you just need to see how many points have we accumulated and how many points do you have. It's almost a straight ratio here. Lab activities, there's 9 labs, and you need to write a lab report and submit photos for all 9, excuse me, both of these things for all 9 labs. You need to figure out this photo submission right away. It should not be a headache. Just take the photos while you're doing the lab, have fun with it. It's like a selfie in science class. And there's a number of things you can do. You can share that to yourself from your phone and put it on your computer. It needs to land in the Word document that you submit for the labs. I don't want it to be submitted as a separate file. I want one file for all 9 labs, and I want that to have all your graphs, all your photos, and all your words in that one document. If you are struggling with that, reach out to me, and I have other videos that give advice on how to deal with photos. Now, let's go to rubrics. Okay, over here in More Tools is where the rubrics are. We are going to review the laboratory rubric. You should print these out. They should be your checklist for working through these assignments. Okay? You have to write a lab report, which is basically like an essay, a 5-paragraph essay. It has several criteria. You need to include the problem or the purpose. Why are we doing this lab? How does it connect to the reading that we're doing in this particular module? And then you're going to clearly make a statement, a hypothesis about what you think is going to happen. These labs are not strictly hypothesis testing experiments, but we're using that word to show that we do have a prediction, right? We have a knowledge. We come to this with some knowledge that we gained from reading and discussing the material. So we can predict what will happen. We might not be right, but we are not blank slates, right? We really are going to figure this out before we go through the whole lab. So share that intuition with us. As you move down in the rubric, you see that we get into a more analytical phase. This would be like the results section of a lab report. You're going to include all the numeric data, all of the graphs, tables, etc. that you collected. Okay, and you're going to answer all the questions that appear in the lab report assistant. At the end of each module, we'll look at, or lab, we'll look at those in just a second. And you're going to circle back as you close your essay into a reflective and concluding voice where you go back to the things you mentioned in the first few paragraphs about why it was important and what we were learning. And you're going to take your data and link it to that and think about how you've changed, how this reflects our society, what would be reasonable research to pursue in the future. This is formal writing, so please use proper grammar and punctuation. And right here, all of your resources need to be properly cited, and I will talk about that in another lab, but essentially, you need to have a parentheses at the end of a sentence, and it needs to be followed by a name and a date of publication. So let's just go over here for a second. I will draw that out for you. That is an in-text citation. Now, regarding the formatting, I am not a stickler for formatting, but there are some key elements that need to be in the reference at the end of the lab, okay? I'm just making this up, of course. The name of the author, the year of publication, the title of the reference, the publishing information, and then finally the URL for that link. If it's a book, this might say, you know, like Prentice Hall, New York, New York. But most of your references will be on the internet. So this should say where it's coming from. National Geographic, National Public Radio, United States Government, Bozeman Science, followed by the URL so we can get there. Okay? This is my expectation. I know that over here in the rubric it says correct MLA and APA formatting, but just know I'm not going to deduct points for that. But if you have no citations at all, or you have them but they don't include information, you will lose some of these 3 points. Enough about that. Another point of stress, hopefully averted. Moving right along. Lab report guidelines. I just gave you my verbal explanation. Here is a written explanation of what goes into this written document that you submit with each lab. Okay? These lab report guidelines are in the lab manual information in the table of contents under reports. Okay? Now let's get over here to the lab manuals. We're still in lab manual and information, requirements and instructions, lab manuals. Now, every single lab is a PDF document. You could just download all of these right now while you're watching the video if you've been following along. And then they are on your computer. You don't need to be online to get started. Maybe you'll just be bored one day, sitting on the bus, whatever, and you think to yourself, gee, oh, I could start reading that lab. It's right there on my phone. So get these documents into your life ASAP. This is a very short class. You need to be thinking about it almost all the time. Okay, when you click there, you get a PDF file. All right, read this thing. Students ask me questions all the time that are just right here in this document. Okay, furthermore, this document reflects what needs to be in your lab report. So all that like background information and the hypothesis, etc. It's all right in here already. So for example, this first lab is not hypothesis testing. Obviously, we're talking about the scientific method, but we're not actually employing it in any experimental way. And here we go through all of these details. Read this. I'm not reading it to you right now, but you're going to read it, okay? And then here we go. We start to do work, okay? Exercise 1, all right? This is where you are literally following the directions, okay? You just follow, follow, follow. I don't want to make you dizzy. I'm trying to advance the pages as whole pages. There you go. Okay, here's some questions. The answers to these questions should appear in your lab report, but they should not appear as a period, question answered. It should be an essay. Answer the questions in essay form. Take out this kind of numbered or bulleted formatting. And then we get to exercise 2, okay? And you do the same exact thing. You follow the directions, okay? Follow, follow, follow. Questions. This is what goes into your lab report. Now, there is this handy document at the end called the Lab Report Assistant, where all of the data that you have been collecting can be aggregated. You should have this available to you. It's a great tool. Using it shows you how to design such tools in the future. But I don't want to see this. This does not need to be submitted. If you submit it, I won't look at it. The information has to be in the lab report, okay? So if you didn't do that or you somehow missed this message this first time, I promise you I'll give you an opportunity to fix this. So there we go through that. Okay, here we are in the class. So that all of those files were generated from the syllabus. Let's take a step back. Now I am in the table of contents in Module 1, in the assignments, the lab assignments in Lab 1, okay? And what is in this document? Information to tell you to go read all of those things that we just looked at, okay? Look here. In your photo, you need to have an index card that has your name on it and the current date, okay? And just take a selfie, like I said before, standing in front of your setup, or if you're outside doing a lab, and it has to have your name and the date in the picture. That shows us that it's you and you're doing it every single time. Now, the other document that you will see there in that labs folder are more instructions, right? This is the Dropbox. So you come in here and you submit the files. Remember that the other way to get there, because when you're done the lab, you won't still have these instructive files open, is by using that assignments tool, okay? So you come in here and you click into this and you submit your file, and you can write me a little note. Now, thank you, that was almost 14 minutes, but hear me out. I am going to open only one file in this Dropbox, and it is going to be a PDF document, a Word document saved as a PDF that includes all of the information needed for the lab report and your photo and your data. I don't want Excel files, I don't want JPEG files of photos, and I don't want that lab report assistant, okay? Give me a lab report, 9 of them. This is 40% of your grade and well worth the effort. Please let me know if you have any questions, and you can continue working on Lab 1. I will extend the deadline until the 6th, so I'll give you 3 more days, and that's that. Thank you very much.